What up, what up? This is Bar Judah, and this is Shed Some Light, where I give insight on things that ain't right, at least in my opinion. Let me have an hour of your time, Mondays and Thursdays, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for giving me a like, and don't forget to sub. Much love. Let's get into it. All right, good people, what up, what up? This is your boy Judah. How y'all doing on today? I'm going to go ahead and talk about what's going on with Terry Crews in this last couple of weeks of what he's been saying in regards to the Black Lives Matter movement, and see if I can go ahead and shed some light on what this actor and activist has been saying on the matter. Let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Well, again, I wanted to bring up the fact that, there are some very, very, militant type forces in Black Lives Matter. And what I was issuing was a warning. It's one of those things where I've been a part of different groups, I've been a part of different things, and you see how extremes can go far and can go wild. And then when you issue a warning, and when a warning is seen as detrimental to the movement, how can you ever have checks and balances? In the 60s and 70s, airplanes.
What I can ascertain from that there is if nobody can ever tell you you are wrong or your opinion is seated in bitterness or rooted in bitterness and you don't want to hear that, what makes you different than a tyrant? If you're a full-blown entity such as Black Lives Matter and you don't have, and all you're listening to is people who think the way that you think and believe the way that you believe within inside of your group, and you're not trying to hear anything else from anybody else, where are the checks and balances? There's an old saying that absolute power ruins absolutely. Let's go ahead and hear what you have to say.
Went down all the time. And the reason they found out why they did was because the pilots could never be questioned. And when you have the leaders of the Black Lives Movement who are now talking about, if we don't get our demands, we're going to burn it down. Other Black people who are talking about working with other whites and other races, they're being viewed as sellouts or called Uncle Toms. You start to understand that you are now being controlled. You're not being treated as.
So if you're not allowed to have a difference of opinion from the group in which you are in, that's an oppression. They are oppressing you. You are being bullied. You are being peer pressured to believe how they believe. And if you don't believe like us, well then you ain't black. You a coon. You a house nigga. Come on, y'all. I mean, how petty can you be? That's a problem with society really today. Not just Black Lives Matter, but pretty much all society, is that people just too daggum sensitive, man. You can't, if you say something against what I say, then I'm just gonna go boo-hoo in the corner rather than be like, okay, you have a right to your opinion, I have a right to mine. Let's go ahead and reason together and try to figure it out and try to find a happy medium so that, we all can coexist together.
Loved, you're actually being control. Someone wants to control the narrative. And I viewed it as a very, very dangerous self-righteousness that was developing that really viewed themselves as better. It was almost a supremacist move.
So, let me jump in, Terry.
So there have been people in the Black Lives Matter movement to say that Black Lives Matter doesn't mean Black Lives Better. But when you have young kids going out under the banner of Black Lives Matter, running up to old white people or young white females and just punching them in the face for just being white. No, absolutely. You're not going after somebody who can actually take you. You're going after somebody who is weaker than you. What are we doing? What's going on here? If we're not saying that black lives are better, then why are we trying to treat the white lives like they don't matter? Now, I'm not trying to say that racism doesn't exist. I'm not trying to say that equality doesn't exist. I'm not saying, but what I am saying is why go from being running from the Ku Klux Klan to being the Ku Klux Klan? Let's go ahead and think about what they think about that one and see what else Terry Crews has to say here.
You that their Black lives mattered a lot more than mine.
Okay, so let me jump in here. There's a lot that you said. Um, you think if Black Lives Matter is, you said you think it's an extreme movement because it's now part of the.
No, what this is the thing. It's a great mantra. It's a true mantra. Black lives do matter. But when you're talking about an organization, you're talking about the leaders. You're talking about the people who are responsible
Okay,
for
I got
putting
you.
these
I
things
got you.
together.
I got you. So let me.
It's
But
two different things.
Terry, you realize that even during the civil rights movement, that Dr. King was seen as extreme. That movement was seen as extreme. To people who don't want to make change, movements are seen as extreme. You can paint them easily as an extreme when they are not.
All right, I'll go on ahead and give that one to Donnie Boy there, Mr. Lemon. That is a true statement that anytime that there is change, you're always going to be met by some type of resistance. And there's always going to be somebody to say, well, we like the old way and your new way is just extreme. It's just too much until it becomes normal. So yeah, I'll give that one to Mr. Lemon, but let's go ahead and see what Terry has to say about that.
This is very true. But also, when you're talking about MLK, you talk about Nelson Mandela, and even Malcolm X, they all realized that you had to have a non-racial component to these kind of movements, or there will be resentment.
Martin Luther King understood that. That's why he said, a quote from him is, hate cannot conquer hate. Only love can do that. We have come away from that for the most part. We are very much selfish and we want what we want. And if we're not getting it the way that we want it, then we're going to burn this down. You're going to burn that down. And that is not helping you. What does it look like if you live in a house, you're living in your house, but yet you purposefully set it on fire? Like, how is that helping you? Where are you going to sleep the next day?
There will be get back. There will be, one of these people will tend to, listen, I don't want to move from one oppressor to the next. And one thing is really
who's the next oppressor? Who's the next oppressor?
Oh, when I describe this, when you look in the city of Chicago, there are 9 children who've died by gun violence, by black on black gun violence, from June 20th all the way to today. And you're talking about, even with the Atlanta child murders, there were 28 kids who died in 2 years. You're talking about a month, and you have 9 black kids, and the Black Lives Matter movement has said nothing about this.
What does that have to do?
So, Chicago has been a war zone forever and a day now, and there are activists out there in Chicago who are trying to bring some reform to Chicago, but they're not going to get any media press. They're not going to get any coverage at all, because in the media, if it bleeds, it leads. And if anything good, anything that's wholesome, anything that's righteous, they're not going to put it on their TV shows. And that ain't right. And that's kind of, that speaks to us, the American people, that because they're going off of ratings, and we're the ones that give the ratings. If that's all we want to watch, that's all they're going to put on TV. So we need to try to find other ways to be entertained.
With equality, though, Terry, I don't understand what that has to do with equality, because listen, there's crime. There are people in those communities those people aren't just being nonchalant about gun violence. I lived in Chicago. There are many people who are working in those communities.
Everything to do with equality, Mr. Lemon. If black people don't even see are racist within their interracially racist. You got beefs between coarse hair and thin hair. You got beefs between light skin and dark skin. You got beefs from people from the suburbs versus those who live in the inner cities. Black people is so divided within themselves. So how can we expect anybody else to see us any different? If our house, if we live in a house and it's got roaches and ants and clothes and it got a funky tinge to it, and we're trying to go around telling everybody else to keep their house clean, but our house is dirty. What we look like? We look like hypocrites, and that's exactly what's going on here in this Black Lives Movement. You really got to pay attention. It's not a fad. It's not a trend. Really do your own research and see what are these guys talking about.
To try to get rid of the gun violence. The gun culture in this country is prevalent, but I don't understand what that has to do with a movement that's for equality for Black people. It's not mutually exclusive that if you care about equality for Black people, that somehow you're going to stop random
Yes,
violence.
you will, because if you truly thought that all Black lives matter, then there wouldn't be gangs as there are today. You wouldn't be fighting over some type of territory that ain't even yours. You ain't paid not one red cent on the land that you are trying to claim as your territory. And you're killing your brothers and your sisters.
Unfortunately, kids from being shot. It just seems like apples and oranges.
It's not that way. This is the thing, Don. Black people need to hold other Black people accountable.
Amen.
I said this the same thing. This is the Black America's version of the Me Too movement. If anything is going to change, we ourselves need to look at our own communities and look at each other and say, this thing cannot go down. And
So I'm going to stop it there, and I'm going to agree with the brother Terry Crews. Yes, we do need to keep our side of the street clean before we try to even hint at the fact that they should keep their side of the street clean. Is it sad? Yes, it is sad. And I pray for this country every day. I don't see it getting any better. I see it getting worse. But it starts with the individual. It starts with the home. And once we can get that straight, we can go on ahead and try to venture out elsewhere. Yeah, with that, I'm going ahead and close and speak about this. Mr. Kevin on stage, what he said about Terry's statement. And, Kevin, he started off good, but it kind of seems like he's just more about the money now. And, I'm not really knocking that. But he in the beginning, he professed himself to be a Christian. He professed himself to that's what he was about. And it just seems now, my question to him is, what is it? Is God your money, or is God your God? So let's read what he said. He said, Terry Crews said in a tweet, conquer our own negativity. And Kevin on stage response to that was, this spells out coon, Terry. When really all Terry Crews was saying, let's just keep ourselves accountable. Let's look inward. Let's be a strong, united front. Let's not portray ourselves as gangsters and thugs. Let's not portray ourselves as killers and murderers. Let's not portray ourselves as less than smart. Let us be the ones to show that we aren't who they make us out to be, the monsters, the savages and depraved of mind people that they have already preconceived ideas and notions in their head about us. Let's do Black Lives Matter by proving them wrong and becoming a better people ourselves. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and thank you for spending this time with me. We'll come back and do it again. Hopefully I was able to shed some light. If I didn't, come back next time and maybe I will. Appreciate you. Have a good day.